Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we're taking a look at the top 100 decks from the most recent Duelist Cup, and taking a look at what the meta was, and what the top decks ended up being. And as you can see here, Tatsuku, the player from Heroes Future who got top 4 at Worlds, ended up getting first place, so they'll be back at Worlds. Hooray. But as you can see by their deck list, they're playing Iblialok UL. Hooray. Yeah. Honestly, with this in particular being in first place and taking the first slot at Worlds, having it be so prevalent at Worlds with the Iblialok and stuff like that, I do imagine Ibli in particular being ripe for a banning. Now, obviously Konami could do something like banning Elf, which honestly would make sense as well, but seeing as how Elf is a UR, and this is basically the only strategy where Elf is a problem, I do imagine Ibli is more likely to be banned. So, there you go. But shoutouts to Tatsu, they played incredible, and this is a very solid deck list. Also, top 4 is also part of their team, because this is the exact same deck list, and I believe this player was on Heroes Future previously. And we also have ABC playing another UBEL deck. This one not playing the Iblialok and playing a nice 40 card list. But yeah, very, very similar deck lists all across the board. We have 6th place with Greed, which was also from the Korean team, Sayer, the Korean team. Yeah, playing 40 card Fire King Snake Eye. I do imagine some sort of limitation to Snake Eye as well. Actually, I don't expect Snake Eye to be hit as much. Maybe Bonfire going to 1. But I do expect Volcanics in particular, as well as maybe Kieran to be the 2 hits. I don't really expect much happening for Snake Eye itself. Mostly for 2 reasons. One, not all of the lore decks have been released, and so they want to keep Snake Eye playable for those other lore decks. And 2, the only real version that people are playing is the Fire King Snake Eye version. I don't think anyone is playing, like, just pure Snake Eye, or if they are, it's very rare, in comparison at the very least. And I think they're probably going to look at that and go, well, if people are only playing the Fire King version, we probably need to nerf that version. Obviously, Flamberg and stuff like that are very clearly the issue. I'm just saying what Konami might actually do. We have a tier deck, nice 40 card clean tier deck. Yeah, looks solid. Nothing really too big of note here. I do like the super polymerization stuff. Pretty solid. I guess this is kind of note, the Deep Sea Prima Donna. I'm not too big of a fan of this card. I prefer the other 7. The... what's it called? Shooting Riser Dragon, I believe. Mostly due to the fact that it allows you to dump a Snow to the grave. And this kind of doesn't. We have Ray J as well, playing UBEL. Nice 44 card list. I believe it's slightly different from the other list, because they're playing the... they're not playing Iblialok. Yeah. So this is not the Tatsuku list. This is with Bestials and stuff like that, but 44 cards is apparently the way to play. We have a 50 card Fire King Snake Eye Horus list. This is weird. Okay. Yeah, just Horus. Based! Yep. 44 card Sprite Tri-Brigade. Cool. Yeah, honestly, this... hey, I'm going to be playing this. That's for sure. This is kind of interesting, utilizing the Dark Beckoning Beast engine with the Nightmare Throne, and then on top of that, utilizing the Tri-Brigade stuff as ways to send, or like cards to send off of Sprind, so that you're able to do that, while also still playing the Nimble engine. And honestly, the Tri-Brigade stuff giving you access to Farigite is pretty nice, and some of those other things. So, pretty solid, all things considered. And then, of course, Droplet. We have more Fire King Snake Eye and more Fire King Snake Eye. Not really going to go over those too much. We have Gimlet playing Voiceless Voice in top 20 and did pretty well. It's a pretty solid list, 42 cards. Nothing really too much of note, right? Lots of hand traps. We have more Fire King Snake Eye, 42 card list. Rain with another 40 card Ubel list, playing Mourner. Comedy. More 42 card lists. We have Rescue Ace, which technically does use the Snake Eye stuff, but it's more of the DFL Star engine that it's using rather than necessarily Snake Eye. So there's that. But yeah, honestly, 2 Impulse is kind of interesting. 2 Impulse, 2 Hydrant, 2 Poplar, 1 Engine, Fire Engine. Kind of interesting, but yeah, sure. Makes sense. We have Stun. Runic Stun to be specific, but Stun nonetheless. Hopefully, Konami looks at this and goes, maybe these are issues. This is fine. This ain't doing nothing. But like, these are very clearly issues. We have a 60 card branded. Please ban grass. I really hope Konami looks at this and goes, maybe grass is the issue. They're not going to, but I sure hope they do. We have Pendulum, Shenanigan. I don't know what's going on here, and I'm not going to try and analyze that. More Voiceless Voice, more Ubel. Okay, we got to talk about this. This is an FTK because of this guy. And if you have 2 of this, you can FTK. I highly doubt Konami is going to keep this card at 2. I think this card is going to go to 1 very easily. No one else is playing this. It's only used for the FTK. And I know the problem is snow. I know the problem is snow. You know the problem is snow. You know the problem is grass and snow, right? We all are cognizant of this being the issue. Konami isn't going to ban a UR to solve the issue. Especially a UR that's being played in multiples. As in more than 1, right? If it's a 1 of, like Chaos Ruler, they'll probably ban it. But, seeing as how Snow is not a 1 of, they're not going to ban this. So, I do think this is likely to go to 1. But if you don't know the combo, real quick, what it does, I got FTK'd by this on stream not too long ago. Pretty much what it does is, you mill your entire deck, then you banish all of your monsters with Snow, and this says, detach material, not hard ones per turn, soft ones per turn, detach material from this card, inflict 100 damage to your opponent for each of your banished monsters. So what you end up doing is you banish 40 monsters, you slap this guy down, you activate the effect, you burn for 4,000, you make the second guy utilizing the Luminas because they are not hard once per turn, and then more specifically this Lumina, and then you do it again, and you kill your opponent. It is really silly. That's all I have to say. It's really silly. And it basically relies on your opponent not drawing hand traps. And with more decks like Branded and Tier kind of popping up and not playing those hand traps, it does end up working. So, yeah. And then you can also just play Tier, except you absolutely can't. If you actually just get into a grind game playing Tier, you probably just lose. Because you're missing a lot of the power behind Tier. Anyway, we also have more Rescue Ace. This is more of a list that I would kind of expect to see with the 1 Impulse, the 1 Fire Engine, but then like, the 1 Poplar with 3 of this, and yeah, pretty standard 42 card list. I like it. We have more Voiceless Voice playing the Jowgen with the Branded Lock. I would expect Jowgen also to be banned, mostly because it's being seen outside of just like Branded Locks. It's being seen specifically in Voiceless Voice as a way to just like end on a Floodgate, right? So I would expect some sort of limitation to Jowgen. Obviously, Verte is likely to be banned as well. I would expect Jowgen more specifically than Verte, because Verte's lasted this long. I don't see Konami banning it. So there's that. More Fire King Snake Eye, more Ubel, Stun. A lot of Stun decks are starting to play Luna. That's something of note. It's just solid right now, being able to, actually put pressure onto the opponent with this normal summon. And then, with things like Crackdown and Solemn Judgment, it's solid. Yay, Cybers. Hooray. Man, this deck is so boring. We have 2 UL decks, but played at 95. And then the 100th place, or the 100th deck, 100th place deck is the FTK once again. So, cool. And that's pretty much it. Yay FTKs, right? Yay FTKs and special summonable Floodgates. Just a really solid event. I honestly did have a lot of fun actually playing in this Duelist Cup, but with that being said, I don't necessarily think this was a good Duelist Cup. I do think that there were a lot of issues with it. I don't think it was as bad as some of the other ones, right? Like when Ryan Yu won with Lab, being able to like floodgate the opponent with Rainbow Magician, right? And stuff like that. That was really frustrating. And there was a bunch of other format. You know, it wasn't as bad as like the first one where it was like, you know, VFD Turbo with VW with Virtual World and stuff like that. But it definitely felt very similar in nature, where it's just like, cool, here's a floodgate, out it. But yeah, one thing I will say is I feel like most people should be playing some sort of out to the Ibly lock, and I don't think a lot of people are. That's one thing I started doing due to... Who was it? Jesse Cotton. In his Worlds list, he was playing 2 Lingaribo to out the Ibly lock, and I fear for my own well-being, so I also was playing 2 Lingaribo. And you can see, like, no one else is playing Lingaribo in any of their lists, even one-ofs. But to be fair, it doesn't really matter for a lot of those other lists, because you have a lot of other ways of just, like, linking it off. But anyway, that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys did indeed enjoy. And if you did, I'd like to very much appreciate it. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.